Welcome to Kick 'em in the Head, a podcast that takes an inside look at the world of mixed martial arts, featuring interviews with some of the top fighters from South Africa and around the world, with a focus on the EFC and UFC promotions. I'm your host, Yaw. Join us as we delve deep into the techniques, strategies, and mindsets of these world-class athletes, learning from their experiences and gaining insights into what it takes to succeed in the toughest sport on earth.
Shaheed.
My man, yo. How you doing? Hey,
dude,
I beat you to it. You have to tell me good. That's good, homie. I'm good.
We have a jam-packed show starting off with the last UFC Fight Night. Barboza versus Yusuff. Yusuff versus Barboza. Sadiq Yusuff versus Edson. Kick him in the head, to be honest with you. Barboza.
Wow. I think Edson Barboza really solidified himself as one of the greats, and he's definitely not done yet. It's going to be amazing to see what he's going to do. I can't actually wait, man. It's going to be amazing. The energy that he's bringing is incredible. But somebody that didn't get so lucky that night was Cameron. Can you speak a little bit about Cameron's loss?
Unfortunately, Team TIT, Cameron Simon lost on points to Christian Rodriguez. But what was interesting was the fact that he lost 30-27 according to all three judges. Now, I'm hoping that a loss like that, because that in this space, that's quite a big loss. I hope a loss like that does not dent his confidence and he manages to push through this one. His first loss, definitely his first learning. So after this, I'm sure he's going to come back stronger. But unfortunately, he didn't get the win on this one. On to the next one.
Yeah, I think it was a case of maybe being a bit overconfident. We've seen people taking short notice fights, and then all of a sudden, bam, man! Like we saw with Terrence Big Balls Palelo. We were so lucky to be there, and maybe we are going to see the same thing with Kamaru Usman and Alex Volkanovski.
They both took short notice fights. You're quite right, and that's really exciting because when you can win a title fight at short notice, makes you a legend. You're Volkanovski, and between Khamzat and Usman, it's a title shot. If they win, the winner gets a title shot. But Kamaru was doing some open sparring, and what happened?
Gaethje was saying that he heard some popping noises, man. I don't know, but everybody's just trying to play it off. And I think the biggest thing is that we all need to remember who Kamaru Usman is. He was a very, very dominant champion. And I just feel like people are writing him off a little bit. And the same thing with Islam in the Volkanovski fight. I think people are writing these guys off. We need to give them respect and everything that they are due. Usman has power. He's coming up a division, and Hamza is also actually coming up a division. I mean, we know he jumps between Walter and middleweight, Walter middleweights all the time. But, the big thing is both these guys are weight jumpers. Usman's a big guy, and I don't think we can ever count him out of this fight. Yes, Hamza is essentially the boogeyman, but I think this is going to be an intense fight. I mean, the way Hamza's looking at him, the way Kamaru's looking, focus and everything like that. And yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good fight. I don't even know. I can't even call it either side. What are you feeling?
Look, the odds have Khamzat winning by 300-1, basically. And when the bookies go that deep, it's you got to think about why they're going that deep. Kamaru is a smaller guy. Even Khamzat said it himself, and everyone knows he's a slightly smaller guy. As much as he's now gone up to middleweight, he isn't that big, tall, or heavy. Khamzat has had a little bit more time. He is a little bit taller. He was doing hectic weight cuts, but then again, if you think about Usman 84 kgs. 84 kgs is your middleweight weight. That's what all the standings are on social media. So maybe he is a natural born middleweight. Maybe he's now fighting at his natural weight like Colby Covington, and maybe that'll give him the edge. So honestly, on this one, it's tough. But I'm gonna just go with the bookies simply because I suck at betting, and I'll just go with the bookies and say Hamzat. But I think my heart definitely says Kamaru.
Yeah, man. I'm also feeling, I don't know what it is. I'm feeling a Nigerian spirit. I hope that he can do something awesome because I love Hamza. I'm a huge Hamza fan, but I don't like people not giving respect where respect is due. And he was the former champion, and he is a force to be reckoned with, truly and honestly. So yeah, let's give Kamaru Usman some respect, man. And the same thing with Islam. I think people need to give him his respect, but give the people a little bit of insight into this one, yeah?
Islam versus Volkanovski is a champ fight. This fight is for double champ status if you're Volkanovski, and if you're
Mm,
Islam, pound for pound king, basically, because essentially he called out John Jones because John Jones is right now the pound for pound number one. So this one is for all the marbles, as they say. This is one of the biggest fights that they've had in a while. Of course, Volkanovski has already fought Islam, but because of how it was fought, it went to the judges. There was no convincing winner. It's one of those fights that we really have wanted for some time, and unfortunately, it couldn't be Charles Bronx Oliveira in this position. But hey,
Hey, that's why I'm letting you
hey,
talk about this one, man. You know how I've got hurt feelings
yeah,
about
hey,
it. Yeah, man.
but yeah,
But
somewhere
yeah,
that you
man.
really feel pain.
Ooh, I love a good fight night, man. I love a good Friday fight night. I love a good Friday fight night. Guys, if you're wondering to learn about what's going on in one championship, um, like, share, subscribe to us, and then we'll tell you how. Basically, they have an app, guys. It's one championship is basically a one-stop combat shop. It is not like the UFC. It has almost every single combat sport that gives kicks and jujitsu. So they've got some awesome stars in there. They've got Gordon Ryan signed. They've got Demetrius Johnson, who is the pound for pound goat, no matter what anybody says. And the reason I really love One Championship is because when there are no fights on a Friday, when there's no fights on a Saturday, when you need that combat sport fix, here's where I go. I jump on One Championship, and on Friday night they're doing a Muay Thai event. It is going to be spectacular. So for everybody that doesn't understand, Muay Thai is basically insane, rough, hardcore kickboxing. It is Thai kickboxing. It is primarily your elbows are very much in play, your knees are very much in play, and it is we love it because it is head kick central. So yeah,
If
man,
you
it's gonna
like,
be a
follow,
hectic.
subscribe on our Instagram, that's all you find. Head Kick Central, Head Kick City, Head Kick everywhere. But one fight we're hoping we're gonna get head kicked in, although I'm not too sure, is this one. Conrad
Yo,
versus Dino the Lion Bagattin. Cage wise versus the Lion.
can you imagine Conrad winning with a head kick? That would be probably the most spectacular thing ever.
I swear that day I'm gonna cry. Like if that happens, you'll see me in tears. I will jump the fence into that octagon
Yeah.
myself.
You,
Excellent.
I hope he's training hard. Um, Conrad Sabia is coming out of retirement, guys. That is actually huge headlines for a grudge match with Dino Bagattin. For everybody that doesn't know, they've got some bad blood. Somebody pushed somebody. Somebody said something about somebody's spouse or parents or something like that, and now we've got a grudge match fight. Dino Bagattin was ejected from the EFC and was not allowed to come back. Yeah, can you tell us about the stint in bare knuckle? What was happening, man? Apparently they were having a bare
So
knuckle fight. Now it's back to UFC.
so this blood match, as you said, it's got a lot of bad blood between the two guys. It started off with them looking to do a bare knuckle fight in the South African bare knuckle promotion, but then they just couldn't get together. And from what we heard from Graham, the matchmaker at EFC, it just made more sense to put it in the EFC to make sure the fight actually happens. Because taking it out of the EFC just happened to not work for whatever reason. So that's really what happened. These guys just really wanted to get at each other. They were even willing to go as far as bare knuckle brawling in the street.
Mm.
Well, not in the street, but.
Hey man, in the streets,
So I
yo.
love that.
I love Conrad Sabia, and we actually did have a little bit of a heart to heart, and he really wants to fight, man. I'm not. I hated when when somebody retires when they should, and I felt like Conrad retired when he should have retired, and
With a
then we
great
get
fight against
these
DP Kruger.
and for the title no less as well. I mean, that's a brilliant place to retire. He is a legend, a celebrity, a superstar within the MMA circles of South Africa and Africa, I'm sure. And I just think that this is a bad idea, guys. Maybe we should just shake hands.
Well,
Hey, what do you think, man? Who you got in this fight? I love Conrad, and I'm actually hoping he wins. But what do you think? Mm.
look, if we look at the fact that they both retired at the height, so Dino last fight, if I'm not mistaken, was against Luke Michael, the current middleweight champion. Dino is slightly younger. I don't know whether he's been keeping in shape. Conrad, we know for a fact, keeps in shape. He's always training. He's got BIA where he's training some phenomenal fighters. So it's a very tricky one. But I think Dino might just edge it if it stays standing. If it goes to the ground, Dino might just edge it. Conrad on the ground, Dino standing. That's me.
Okay. You know what I'm
Yeah,
feeling
standing.
actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling something funny. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna back Conrad full game. I'm saying Conrad Sabia is gonna win by knockout. Actually, I'm actually gonna. I'm saying it now. If that happens, it would be flipping spectacular. I don't know. I think they've got something to prove there at BIA. I mean, let's if we just look at the landscape, if we don't look at the people, um, one of their fighters fought for a title. He lost. He retired. Another one of their fighters fought for a title. He lost. Then that same fighter fights for a title again. He loses. Um, I'm not trying to be thing. I'm just stating facts. I feel like these guys they are a dominant gym. They have a lot of guys, and this is basically their sensei, their headmaster, the king of BIA, the founder. I don't know how many like awesome words to use, but I think they've got something to prove, and maybe it'll come out in this fight. Maybe everybody's taking him a bit light, and maybe he's gonna come and actually give it like just that one last amazing Cinderella story fight that we all really want to see. Right?
Coming back to really do damage to a mortal enemy, if you will.
Maybe, man. Maybe that would be hot.
Look, one way or the other, it's definitely going to be an amazing fight. These guys are really well trained, pedigreed, and angry. And that makes for a crazy fight.
Amazing, right?
Another fight that I think is going to be crazy. Woo! Let's talk about a good friend of our show, Chris Matakani. He's up at EFC 109 against an unknown prospect that we've never seen before, but I'm very excited about.
I have to say that I do know about Badat. Badat, right?
Yes.
Yes,
But
yes. I do know about Badat. He is a jiu-jitsu expert. He has been fighting internationally, and this would be a huge test for Chris Matahani. This Badat has been fighting people overseas. Now I actually need to double check myself, guys, because we don't know everything, and we have to admit that sometimes. I just need to check if the name I'm so brazenly saying here is correct.
yeah. So Zakir, but that's is fighting out of Durban. He's 23. He's a high-level BJJ practitioner. Second fight
Yes,
in MMA. He's 2-0.
I had to just make sure that I had to make sure that I'm giving credit to the right person. Yes, but that is an extremely dangerous big man on the ground. He moves very agile. I have been watching him for a while. It's very exciting to see him in the EFC, but Chris Matukani, this is his time to shine. First time on the main card, first time on the big show. Everybody's seeing him on the internet, and now it's time for everybody to see him on SABC, and maybe he can be the maize meal man as well, because that's how big we want Chris Matukani to be.
That's quite true. I mean, Savage, we saw him, obviously, his last fight he won. Previous fight, he lost by decision, but he's hungry. He's really here to get a title. Light heavyweight isn't an open division, but it's not that active, which means it's an opportunity for whoever is active enough, whoever's winning enough to come in and actually claim the title. So really, well, we obviously saw what's his name win the light heavyweight title recently, but there needs to be contenders. So this is a very exciting matchup.
Yes.
Equally as exciting, Vince Bembe is back in action. Obviously, Vince, the last time we saw him was his title loss. But yes, very exciting to have Vince back. And this time around, he's fighting Sek.
Sek, yeah, man. I think that
Yes,
You
I'm
good?
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry. I think we just had a connection situation. Yeah, man, it is amazing to see Vince Bembe back in action. The featherweight division is looking hot at the moment. We got asked a question, a very, very interesting question, actually, by the man named Suave Olave. Guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you are thinking, who the hell is Suave Olave? You haven't been watching, you haven't been liking, and you haven't been subscribing. Get on, subscribe, like, do all that stuff, and then you'll know what we're talking about. So Suave Olave jumped on, and he said he's going down to 145. 145 is a hot division. We know 145 well. Cabeza is the king of the 145 division. Now we've got an unknown prospect coming in, and we did see some good head movement. Cloty, wow, an impressive win. But I did see some sparks of something there, and I would be very keen to see a faster moving Suave, and maybe Vince Bembe is the man to welcome him into the featherweight division. What you thinking?
I think that would be a hot fight. One thing I know about Demba Sek is the last fight he fought at EFC 96, he had this near miss off the ground, almost Capero-esque head kick. Literally this close.
Wow.
So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him back in the Hex. It's going to be an exciting fight because Vince is skilled out of Secunda. Vince is talented. We've got those fighters here. Sorry, Sek is out of Senegal, so it's an international fight as well.
Wow.
It's always this different flavor, this different style. So that's really what
we saw that with Pedro, right? We saw that with Pedro, the coolest kid.
Even
these guys,
different style.
Yeah. Different style, the international flavor. We also heard about this with Cairo. Cairo spoke about the level just turning up a bit, and we are feeling it, guys. We are seeing it with these fights. Graham is so excited. He's taking out his phone and just sitting in his car trying to tell people about what's going on, man. That's something we're going to talk about a little bit later as well.
Here for UFC 109 is an absolute banger, an absolute absolute violence loading. Cole the Hitman Henning versus Dante Humphrey King Cobra Mulemba. Oh my goodness.
Dante King Cobra Hitman Henning. What is this, a Michael Bay movie? Oh my word, baby. I am so excited. This is actually one of the biggest highlight fights for me. Dante is a rising star. Henning is basically like the Cowboy Cerrone of the lightweight division. If you can get past him, you are almost guaranteed a shot at the big time. The lightweight division is basically this open little chestnut that we've just been waiting for. This huge big. Where's Dante from? Zambia. We've been waiting for this big, huge Zambian giant gentle, awesome man to come here and crack the lightweight division right open so we can have a champion that's here, active, and doing things and fighting and just being awesome. I would love to see Dante as a champion or Hitman Henning. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
Look, with this matchup, with what we've been seeing Humphrey doing, if we look at the training, Cole Henning is a killer. He's an absolute killer. And
Yes.
Graham has now matched him up against an absolute killer. So this is about to be hunting season in this fight. And Hitman, unfortunately, this one I have to give to the King Cobra. You know, you get bitten by a snake, you die from venom. You know, the Hitman, he hits you from a distance, but the snake is in your pants, don't bite you. Weird analogy, but I'm going to Humphrey Malemba on this one.
I love it. I love it. That's MMA, guys. It just happens like that, yo. You start saying weird things and they start making sense. Hey.
So wait,
hey.
Who do you have?
I have got Dante. I don't know. I've got a feeling if Hitman can survive the first round, we haven't seen Dante be pushed. So if we can get somebody to push him just a little bit, we might see something very different or somebody that's a little bit out of their depth. He is a young man that's never been taken to the ground. Hitman Henning is very good at jiu-jitsu. He is good ground game, good wrestling. So if he can neutralize power by coming up and pushing in and Dante against the cage, we know Dante is very, very strong. So this will be a technique-driven fight if Hitman Henning has the ability to put hands on Dante, which we haven't seen anybody do yet, but he's only had a few fights. So this will be a real test for him, fighting a true veteran, somebody that knows how to fight somebody that is strong, big. And I think every time Dante gets in there, I always think, yo, is that a lightweight? Like 75 kgs. He's huge. Yeah, he looks so big, and it's just, I don't know, man. So let's see if Hitman can and last some rounds with Dante and maybe bring home a win by pushing him further than he's ever gone. Or maybe we just see this Broly looking guy go Super Saiyan and destroy Hitman. Either one would be fun.
Either one would be fun. But as we were saying earlier, if you look at EFC 109, EFC 108, EFC 107, EFC 106, what the matchmakers they're doing, what the organization is doing, we are really enjoying because the matchups they've got are just scintillating.
I just think it's quite a privilege, just to take a moment, just to thank the guys at the EFC, just to thank Graham, just to thank Cairo, the guys behind the scenes. Thank you so much for the privilege. Kendall, Casey, everybody that just makes this possible for us to have this access. It is truly a privilege and an honor to see these fights and MMA history in South Africa actually unfold. Terence Balelo's fight, that'll go down in history. How he lost against Gift Walker, went up a division, 10 hours notice. We literally saw MMA history in South Africa, and I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. And the way we say thank you is, Graham, we've been seeing that you're doing car videos. We love a good car video. We love car videos, man. I mean, but maybe we could spruce it up a little bit. Maybe you need a home here on Kick Him in the Head. And that's I think that's going to be what we're going to say for this now. Graham, you have a home here at Kick Him in the Head. Any news, any titillating bits, we want to hear about it first. We want it. So say your message to Graham, yeah? Because are you liking these? Well, not message to Graham. Sorry, let's not say that. Let's.
I lost my earphone.
Let's talk about these. The information in the videos is insane. What are you thinking about that, bro? I'm liking the car vibe, but I think he needs a place, bro. He needs us. He needs us. We need him. He needs us.
I think getting input from Graham on this show is exactly where it should be because we give everyone what's happening right now. We know exactly what's happening right now across the entire MMA sector, UFC, EFC, and Graham knows more than us. So I mean, we're better to find everything. I mean, we're
Right?
better. Those who know a lot
Right?
and those who know more than those. Cool. So yes,
Exactly.
definitely,
And
Graham.
and
Please, we'd love to have you on Kick in the Head podcast regularly for you to tell us exactly what's happening in the MMA space with that insight that's going to give the people listening true insight to what's happening, where they can find which fighters, their favorite fighters, which fighters are coming up, and how people can really start to understand MMA matchmaking and how fights are put together. So yes, please, Graham, join us, Kick in the Head and Graham. I think that's a good combination.
yeah, man, I'm feeling that
Graham
energy. I'm feeling
Carmel,
that vibe.
Graham
Graham
Crip Up the
Carmel,
Pound.
he's got a home here and kick him in the head. Another person who's got a bald space in kick him in the head is Alex Volkanovski. You have a space here, kick him in the head too. Anytime you want to make food, we there. Anytime you want to talk about something, we there. Anytime you want to vacate, not vacate, but move up a
Yeah.
division and create an interim title situation, we are there. What do you think about interim titles? Yeah.
Where it comes to interim titles, I think I will speak about them interimly once we have done our fighter of the week because I prematurely put up a Volk. That's my bad.
It is the time.
It is that
What? I
time.
didn't
It
even.
is that
What?
time. My
It's the time.
bad. Are you ready? What time
Are
is it,
you
Shaheen?
ready? It is the fighter of the
Woo,
week.
woo.
It's time!
And this week I will let you go first. Who, dear Full Metal Roberts, is your fighter of the week?
My fighter of the week is a local, a man that we've had on the show, a man that is fighting in November, a big man, a bald man. It is Chris Matukane. The reason for this is I am just very, very proud of old Chris Matukane. I just want to say that he just wanted a shot at being.
Okay, I put up his text, so keep going.
That's a very funny photo. Just to go back to the seriousness of what I was saying, he asked for a shot to be on the main card. He got it against somebody that is probably going to be a huge test for him. He didn't flinch at the opportunity, which I'm very sure he just signed on the dotted line. He didn't care whose name it was. And for that, I'm very proud to see him on the main card. He's so active. He's such a good dude to talk to. That's a way better picture. Chris Manzacani, you are my fighter of the week. Boom, boom. And yeah, who is your fighter of the week? Fighter of the week.
My fight of the week is a bit of an odd one, to be very honest with you. And the reason he's my fight of the week is, a lot would say that, at this point in time, he is a bit of a pull-out artist, which I could possibly agree with. But if I look at his reason this time around, it's a good reason. So my fight of the week is the one and only Paulo Borrachinha Costa. Now, why is he my fight of the week? He is my fight of the week because he pulled out of the fight. And sometimes we chastise and insult fighters for pulling out because we're like, oh, but why couldn't you just fight? Oh, but we won this fight, etc., etc. But if you look at it, these are people, and they do get injuries, and they do get things like staph infection, of which Paulo had a severe staph infection. And as we know, a product like Ronin soaps can be used to stop staph infection in gyms and help gyms control things like staph infections. But he had surgery 2 weeks right before the fight. And there was no way he was able to fight, and he pulled out respectfully. He didn't try any shenanigans. He didn't wait until 10 days' notice. He didn't wait. He respectfully pulled out when he knew that it was impossible. So for me, I really commend the fighter when they do it the right way for the right reasons and let us know exactly how it is they pulled out, why it is they pulled out, and for us to know that they weren't just running. Some fighters are scared and they run, but let us know, and as fans, we'll accept it. So for me, Paulo Costa.
That's beautiful, yeah. You always got to know that, like, when you're okay and all that stuff, and you always got to put yourself first. And these are people, guys. We can't actually go on with them so much as we do as fans. We know we feel entitled, but that's so beautiful, yeah. And I think you're so right. Actually, that gives me inspiration. Shannon van Tonder. I just love to say a little something to you, Shannon. We It may seem like we are maybe rooting for Musa more than you. Fortunately, I don't know. That's not the case. We would love to talk to you. We'd love to get your story out there. We'd love to have a chat and have an interview, because we love to represent fighters here on. We love to represent the fighters here on Kick 'Em in the Head. That's what it's all about. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. So we'd love to hear what happened. We'd love to hear your description of events and hear what's going on. Yeah, man.
It'll be quite interesting to hear what's going on. And I think that brings us back to our discussion today about interim champs. And
Yeah, man.
that he had pulled out of Shannon Bantonda had pulled out of was the interim championship bantamweight fight between him and Musa Setwape. So it's quite interesting that there've just been so many changes, and we spoke about it last week. They've come in these title fights where not just the interim championships, but just the injuries. But when it comes to interim championships, what's your view? When are they important? And obviously, we have a lot of interim champions running around, but when is it important to have interim champions, and how's it going?
Well, you know what? You know who I think really started this interim champion stuff? Well, I don't actually, like, let me not get my history wrong, but I think when we started jumping up up in divisions to try get another title, another to be the double champ, the triple champ, the quadruple champ, the super champion of everything, we stagnate a division, because all of a sudden you see Volkanovski going off and fighting other dudes. But I think Volkanovski is probably a bad example of that, since he has, like, basically decimated the entire division. Terence Bolillo now is a better example, because he also fought for interim championship. So we've got a situation now with King Shaka. King Shaka wants to go down to fight against Gift Walker. So now we've got this stagnation within the bantamweight situation. King Shaka being the bantamweight champion and wanting to go collect the flyweight and then come up and then unify the bantamweight championship. The reason why I think an interim title is always a good idea, because we don't know how long this situation is going to go on for. So in the EFC's terms, I think it works really, really well, because January, we're probably going to see an announcement for King Shaka Gift Walker, right? Depending on how Gift is with the celebrating of his, I mean, I don't know if people have seen him yet since he won the title. I think he's still celebrating. I think he's still, so depending on him, his training, how he's doing, maybe we also have a chat with him and see what he's doing. But I think by January, we're going to see that fight happen. Then the next one will probably be a title fight for the interim championship, or one of the lightweights or something like that, depending on what goes down on EFC 109 and 110. So there is a lot of interesting stuff, and a interim championship presents an opportunity to be a champion. And that's always a good situation, because there's a lot of fighters that deserve to be champions, but sometimes, like Tony Ferguson is and always will be a champion to me. I will never say he's not. Dustin Poirier will always be a champion to me. They held the gold. They were at the top of the mountain, and interim titles are good for moving a division forward, for pushing energy forward, and it's always good to just give those guys props. Alex Volkanovski is insane. We need to give people chances to come up. Ilya Topuria, and Max Holloway is going to be an insane fight. Alex Volkanovski did explicitly say, don't make this fight. But they made it. It's going to happen. How quick do you think Max is going to finish Topuria?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because as much as we respect Max, we know he's on the feet mostly, right? And if Topuria decides to play Max's game, Max has got it hands down. If he decides to take it to the ground, if he can take it to the ground, because mind you, Max is no slouch on the ground. Max is no slouch in terms of takedown defense. So the question is, can Topuria get it to the ground? I say if he goes to the ground, Topuria, simply because he's got the skill there. He's shown the skill there. I think Max, I don't know the last time he was fully tested on the ground, because he always manages to keep standing, or everyone wants to stand and bang with Max Holloway to prove they can outstrike Max Holloway, and he always wins. So for me, it's as simple as if Topuria sticks to the proper game plan, if he makes a proper game plan, he can beat Max Holloway. Other than that, honestly, it's Max Holloway. Like you said, he's not just an interim champ, he's a champ, former champ. So it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a championship, but
Although I think one method that he could possibly use is USADA, because the UFC and USADA have parted ways. They have a relationship no longer. So essentially, if USADA sponsors one of them and one wins, then USADA's won. But very interesting happening between the UFC and USADA, the fact that they have now split ways. And for anyone who doesn't know, USADA is the US Drug Administration that manages the anti-doping within the UFC. So it's a major thing. Major thing.
Yeah. I think everybody that's just left, like Michael Perry must be furious. All the fighters that have just left the UFC, they must be so angry, man. I think everybody seems to think that if the USADA is not involved, then everybody's going to go on steroids. I don't think that that's the case. I really and truly, honestly don't think so. I think the UFC is too credible right now to jeopardize something like that. I mean, it would be very, very silly. It just shows this break of relationship. Sorry, yeah. Just shows how insanely powerful the star power still is of our favorite fighter, Conor McGregor.
The friend of the show who has never heard of us.
He will one day.
He will one day for sure. That's quite true, because if you look at where the issues between the UFC and USADA came from, it came from USADA's treatment of Conor McGregor, where essentially at some point in time, and I think even now, he was literally the most tested athlete on the planet, which just doesn't make any sense. And that seems to be the reason why they've broken ties with USADA, is because of the unfair treatment that USADA has on its athletes, where you've got all these testing regimes and protocols that just aren't very fair. But with that said, you're quite right. People think that every athlete now is going to bulk up on steroids, but the UFC is working on a new deal with a new anti-doping agency, which, from what I've heard, should be kicking in around the same time that USADA falls away. So maybe they'll have a week of steroids they can take. We'll see.
Steroids don't flush out your system that fast, man. I had a friend once. Yeah, it does. It doesn't flush out your system that fast. So anybody that honestly thinks that the UFC is going to allow steroids in the situation, I think is ridiculous. And the constant testing of Conor, I think, is because they think Conor is taking cocaine. They think they're taking ecstasies. And we've seen how this dude is on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he looks like he's on some. And I don't think it's steroids. I really don't. So maybe USADA was like, maybe Conor's on something. But be that as it may, they have ended the partnership. And yeah.
To be honest, I think it's not just that they think that Connor's on something. I think it's to use him as the scapegoat for any other athlete to not wonder what will happen, essentially, or how it goes. Because over and above the fact that they might think he might be doing something, the fact is it needs to be a fair system that is used, no matter which athlete you are, no matter what they think you're doing. And that basically was the issue is you should still follow the same process, procedure, protocol for every athlete. If it's at that time they need to be tested, test them. If they test positive, they test positive. If they don't, well, okay, great. Well done, athlete.
Maybe it was like a super overcorrect. Like they didn't want anybody to think that they were giving him the special privileges or special something or other because he is Conor McGregor. They like went super overboard on him just to show everybody like we will not stand. And I liked USADA. I liked the situation. But yeah, things need to come to an end sometimes.
Things do need to come to an end. And just a quick shout out again. Oh, we can't see all of it to Chris Matakani's pecs because, bro, your pecs are awesome. But we're hoping that the next time you fight, and kudos to his opponent, but the next time Chris Matakani fights, how do you think he's going to finish that fight? See?
Hey, man, yeah. I think the best way to finish a fight is to
kick him
in the head.
Shahid, we will chat soon.
Yes. Cheers, my man. Keep safe.
Kick him in the